Nestlé provides you with tastier and healthier everyday choices to enhance your quality of life. Nestlé, good food, good life.
Salt is vital to life, and although it gets a bad rap, the salt mineral, or sodium chloride, is actually pretty important in the body. Other than maintaining your hydration and pH, it's essential to maintaining the proper signaling in the heart, telling it when to pump. But how much of salt is too much salt? Today we're going to find that out.
Salt is essential to good health and life, but too much of a good thing can be bad. Dietitian Lila Bruk helps us understand what a healthy intake of salt should be.
A lot of people are unsure about how much salt they should take in a day. How much do they require, and are they taking too much?
Well, definitely most people do tend to have more than they should be having, and ideally one should be having less than 2,000 milligrams a day, which is really less than a teaspoon of salt.
So what are the common products that have these hidden salt dangers?
Prepackaged foods, frozen foods, tin foods, breakfast cereals, soup mixes, anything that's usually instant, those would be most likely to be very high in salt. And also things like takeaways, fast foods. Often salt is added to foods in large quantities because it gives food flavor in a cheap way.
How would one lower their salt intake?
Obviously the best option is to make food yourself, and then at least you know what goes in it. But things like, for example, your meats, processed fishes, those sorts of things will still have the salt in it. So ideally you want to make sure that if you're choosing a prepackaged food, compare those sodium levels of the various foods to always choose the best option.
What about salt cravings? How do people deal with that when trying to cut down their salt intake?
Firstly, what is very important is to look at the amount of water that you drink. Because very often, if you don't drink enough water, that in itself can make you crave more salt. But in terms of then making sure that your food actually still has flavor, obviously you want to make sure that you're using a lot of different flavorings like the herbs, the spices, lemon juice, chilies, all those sorts of things that will provide flavor without having to add salt.
So what are Lila's top tips when it comes to salt reduction?
It's important to experiment with all different flavors, different spices, different herbs, different levels of spice, so that way at least you can tell what your actual flavor is that you like, rather than just adding salt to drown out whatever other flavors might be in the food.
The key to low-salt cooking is to retrain your palate to become less dependent on the salt flavor, and then to experiment with other flavorings in your dishes for a new taste experience.
When it comes to cooking, what does salt do to enhance the flavor?
Various foods has different reactions to the salt. For fruit, for example, it's got a different reaction than poultry, but it's not always about cooking with the salt, because there's various other products on the market which you can use to enhance the flavor. You can use herbs, you can use spices, because they make the food pop and gives you an absolute amazing flavor.
Talking about popping, one thing that pops out to me when I go to the store are the amount of salts out there.
Yeah, there's 161 different types of salt in the market, and you need to know what you want the flavor to be, because they are flavored. There's different types of finishing salts, so when you finish your food, you plate and present it, then you can just sprinkle it over, and that gives a unique, distinct flavor to the food.
For a delicious chicken stir-fry, garlic, ginger, onion and chili often form the flavor base. Not only do these ingredients impart a generous dollop of flavor, they are also filled with health benefits such as vitamins, minerals and antioxidants. Vegetables like carrots and sugar snap peas, as well as peppers, baby corn and fresh herbs, also help to build flavor into the dish without the need to add salt. So the rules for low-salt cooking are simple. Read food labels carefully and choose products with an acceptable sodium content. Experiment with new flavorings and rather keep that salt shaker safely stored away.
Nestlé, good food, good life.